Welcome back to Podgorica, the capital of Montenegro, for the second part of our program. Coming up, we'll visit the Balkans' largest refugee camp. It's located on the outskirts of the capital, Podgorica. You will see there more than 2,000 Roma live in appalling conditions. We'll also meet Maja Bogojevic, a film professor. She will show us some of Montenegro's most striking sights, including Lake Skadar and the secretive beaches of Ada Bojana on the Albanian border. But first, just behind me you can see the Morača River. It is precisely on this river that the government has planned to build dams in order to produce electricity. Some of the production could even be exported to Italy, thanks to a cable running through the Adriatic Sea. But environmentalists are worried that the project could endanger wildlife in the region and ruin one of the Balkans' most scenic rivers. Let's watch our first report, brought to us by our correspondent Johan Bodan.
With about 30 rivers originating from the dense mountain range, Montenegro could be called the water fountain of the Balkans. In the north, a few dams have been constructed to produce hydroelectric power, and the government wants to create more.
Every year we import 35% of our electric energy, but we've enormous potential when it comes to hydroelectric power. We use only 17%, whereas other European countries use 50%.
At the centre of the biggest project to develop hydroelectric energy is this river, the Morača. It could be home to 4 separate dams if all goes according to plan.
Basically, with this project, we will be able to export energy in 2016 or 2017. The Morača River alone will provide half of our export. That would be 600 gigawatts an hour.
The project is estimated to cost €560 million. Its construction will be managed and funded by a private company. A call for tenders has been launched, and the Italian company A2A looks best suited to win the job. The company's recently acquired a large number of shares in Montenegro's national electricity company, but some NGOs have denounced the short bidding period.
There is a perception that everything was predefined. Certain parts of the all agreements that were signed between the Italy and Montenegro are not available to the public.
The project's expected to be followed by another one, a cable 450 kilometres long linking Montenegro with the boot of Italy. But some Montenegrins aren't keen on the idea of their energy being channelled abroad and question the real economic gains for their country.
In order for it to be economically profitable for Montenegro, the private partner would need to pay a 10% tax for the use of the country's resources. But according to the project, the company will only pay about 2.5%.
Another cause for concern is the environmental impact. The Morača is the main river leading into Lake Skadar.
There's natural flooding on the Morača in the spring, and this is essential for the submerged plains of Lake Skadar. It's a breeding site for fish, and that's why the lake has a very large biodiversity.
To convince an ever-growing sceptical population about the merits of the project, the Montenegrin government has launched a new series of public debates.
It is the largest refugee camp in the Balkans. More than 2,000 Roma who fled Kosovo during the conflict in the late 1990s still live in Konik, near Podgorica. The camp was built near Montenegro's largest rubbish dump, and living conditions there are appalling. The EU has asked Montenegro to close the camp, but the authorities here say they can't deal with the situation by themselves. They need the help of the countries of origin and the international community. Let's watch our report.
Berisha makes €5 a day trading scrap metal. He struggles to feed his 7 children, who live in his home made from corrugated iron and wood.
Before I lived in Pristina, I had a house and space. Here, I've got nothing.
In 1999, Berisha fled Kosovo and the violent abuses committed against his people by Albanian separatists. Along with 2,000 other Roma, he found refuge in the suburbs of Montenegro's capital, Podgorica. Today, Konik is the largest refugee camp in the Balkans.
Come and see. Look, at the roof. It's about to collapse. You can see it's infested with bugs that suck the children's blood. Even animals don't live like this.
Their forced exile, which was supposed to be temporary, has lasted more than 10 long years. Only 200 refugees have been able to go back home to Kosovo.
There is no still strong political will of Kosovo government to support voluntary return of those IDPs who do not face any more security concerns if they want to return to Kosovo.
Another problem is their status. In 1999, Kosovo was classified as a single country with Serbia and Montenegro, so at the time they were labelled internal refugees.
When Montenegro regained its independence in 2006, this was not changed. So these people have never been formally recognized as refugees. The internally displaced person's status in Montenegro, it is not a legal status. So it means that it is more of an administrative term. They formally have had very limited access to rights because of this legal problem.
In light of its prospective entry into the EU, Montenegro has been urged to sort out its refugee problem quickly. The country's authorities have decided to settle the issue. Either the refugees return to Kosovo or they live fully integrated in Montenegrin society with the status of permanent foreign residents.
We will do everything we can to ensure as many of them as possible have the necessary documents by the 7th of November. But lots of them don't want new papers. They are fine with their current status. For them, the best choice is to return to their country.
For the moment, only about 15 people in the camp have requested and obtained the necessary documents.
They're being unfair to us with their demands for documents. For my family and I, it would cost over 1,000 euros. How am I supposed to find that sort of money?
Berisha and most of the Roma refugees from Kosovo are afraid of becoming illegal immigrants in a few months, having to live with the fear of expulsion.
They could be the Balkans' answer to the Da Vinci Code. More than 60,000 medieval gravestones have been found in the region. The Štešci are decorated with mysterious symbols and writing. Aware of their value, the states of Montenegro, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Croatia and Serbia have joined forces to register them on the UNESCO World Heritage List. But as we'll see in our report, a great deal still needs to be done to preserve them.
Nikšić is a large industrial city in the north of Montenegro. At this museum, nestled within the grass, are dozens of blocks of abandoned stone, a witness to a past most people here have forgotten.
Perhaps it's what was left of the old town, and it's been moved here. Now you find people here in the evenings sitting on the stones.
A closer examination of these slabs of rock reveal mysterious engravings, animals, scenes of rural everyday life and traditional crosses. They are in fact medieval tombstones called Štešci. More examples can be found in a nearby cemetery.
There were 400 Štešci here before the Second World War, but sadly most of them were destroyed.
In this graveyard, some Štešci have been preserved. For example, the foundations of this 11th century church are rather unusual.
There are two stones incorporated in the base of the building. At the time, it was a widespread custom. Here you can see arches, rosettes and floral decoration. It's a really impressive example.
Oriental symbols, pagan signs and Christian themes mixed together in a variety of creative designs.
In fact, there's nothing like it in the history of art from that period. In their form, conception, experimental ideas, they're linked to the Bogomils. It represents their vision of life and death.
The Bogomils were a branch of Christianity considered by the Roman Catholic Church as heretics. They flourished in the Balkans from the 11th to the 14th century. Attacked by the church, they and their art disappeared with the arrival of Muslims. Their beliefs may have faded, but their stones have stood the test of time. There are about 80,000 in the region, and they've been put forward to join the World UNESCO Heritage List.
And it's now time for our cultural sequence. In Europe District, we're going to meet Maja Bogojevic. She's a film and media professor at Mediterranean University in Podgorica. She will show us some of her very favorite places in Montenegro. Let's go and meet her. Maja, nice to meet you.
Hello, Christoph. Good to see you. Welcome to the annual exhibition of the students of the Faculty of Visual Arts, University of Mediterranean in Podgorica. Before I show you some of my favorite places in Montenegro, this is actually a place that is part of my world, because some of my most talented students are here. And let me introduce you to Sara.
Hello, my name is Sara Radovic and I'm from Nikšić. I'm a student of the first year of Faculty of Visual Arts in Podgorica, and I made a short movie. It's called Harmony of the Perception.
Istrajati u postupcima koji nas određuju bićima dostojnim postojanja na ovoj planeti upravo dovodi onu svjetlost u našoj kutiji pravo do nas.
It's talking about construction and deconstruction of time, because I think that time is the only thing today that we can use and not expect anything in return.
Maja, we're now 25 kilometers south of Podgorica and we can see Lake Skadar. This is the biggest lake in the Balkans.
Yes, you're right. It is the biggest lake on the Balkans. 2/3 of it belong to Montenegro and 1/3 belongs to Albania. It's a very rich lake in various sorts of animals, especially birds. About 300 different kinds of birds live here.
It's also a lake that has created massive floods in recent years.
It is a very capricious lake. Unfortunately, there were floods last year, some very serious ones that devastated lots of land here. It actually has to do a lot with the river Bojana, because Bojana should flow into the sea and help free the lake of some water during the periods of heavy rain. But Bojana capriciously changes its direction and flows back to the lake. And there is a film made by the Montenegrin director Živko Nikolić, Čudo neviđeno, that actually, in a satirical way, talks about the attempts of Montenegro in stealing the lake back to the sea. Unfortunately, those attempts failed. The film portrays that in a very humorous way.
Maja, we're still on River Bojana, but this is a completely different landscape.
We continue our trip connected with Bojana. Bojana here joins the sea, the Adriatic Sea. We're in Ada Bojana. It is my favorite place. It's special, it's unique. All these fishermen houses with their nets and the look, they really remind me of Thailand maybe, or something subtropical or Asian. There is a special, beautiful energy here. The place, the people, the vegetation around me, the sound of animals, even jackals, snakes, and all wild animals that you can find here. And it's really been the only untouched part of Montenegro.
Ada Bojana is also famous because it's got one of the biggest nudist beaches in the region.
Yes, you're right. There is actually a very famous nudist beach here. And that beach was immortalized in a film called The Beauty of Sin, made by Živko Nikolić.
Jaglika!
I think it's one of the most beautiful and anthological scenes of ex-Yugoslav cinema.
Next stop is the city of Budva. This is by far Montenegro's largest resort.
Yes, you're right. This is the largest resort of Montenegro on the coast. It is also called the touristic metropolis of Montenegro. When I was growing up, Budva was a charming place. It still is, and of course I still like it, but I think it's overdeveloped. There are too many houses built, there are too many apartments, it's overcrowded. And Kadmo, its founder, I'm not sure that he would be very happy if he saw what's been done to it today. Thank God there is still the old town of Budva that's quite preserved. We are now at the fortress called Kastel. It is an old citadel of Budva. There was an earthquake in 1979 which demolished completely Budva. So Budva has been reconstructed since, but some of the things like the fortress where we are, that's been preserved luckily.
And apparently Budva also attracts famous people.
Besides mass tourism, Budva also attracts international celebrities. So many Montenegrins, I think, especially many young Montenegrins, were happy when they could see for the first time the live concert about 4 years ago, the Rolling Stones, and a year later, Madonna.
Maya, for the end of the program, you brought us to your favorite bar in Budva. It's called Kasper. Why Kasper? Why did you choose Kasper?
Kasper is like a good ghost, not only of Budva, but of Montenegro. It was established in '91. We know that it was the beginning of the war in Yugoslavia. This was the place that resisted the local turbo folk music, and it still resists commercialization. There will be many other nights. It's a place that is so international and so cosmopolitan that tonight we are going to listen and to watch Patrick O'Leary. It's a musician from New York. And Šule Jovović, who is the best guitar player not only in Montenegro but in the region. A mixture of New York and Montenegro musicians, yeah.
Well, let the musicians play, but first I'd like to thank you, Maya, for being our guide here in Montenegro, your beautiful country. Thank you for watching this edition of Europe District from Montenegro. Join us again next month. We'll be in Kosovo. From all of us here in Budva, thank you for watching and goodbye.
My heart is sad and lonely. For you I sigh.